Canada marks Christmas. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers, CUPW, went on strike in response to Canada Post's misleading claims about its financial situation. Canada Post's management has been criticized for excessive spending, while workers' wages and benefits have been neglected. The strike is not just about wages, but also about the company's attempts to undermine workers' rights and benefits. Key points: Canada Post's management spending increased by 56.5% from 2017 to 2023. Workers' wages only grew by 14.1% during the same period. Canada Post wants to make new hires wait a year before receiving benefits and exclude them from the defined benefit pension plan. The Canadian government has intervened in the labour dispute by invoking Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code to send parties to binding arbitration. Canada Post has been authorized to store and transport prohibited firearms returned through the gun buyback program, thanks to new regulations. This move brings the retail gun buyback program one step closer to its start date. The program is part of the federal government's comprehensive strategy to tackle gun violence in Canada. Here are the added dangers to storing and shipping prohibited firearms during the buyback program. The Canadian government's intervention in the postal workers' strike, potentially forcing them back to work, exemplifies the Marxist notion of the state as a tool of the ruling class. By limiting the workers' right to strike, the government is protecting the interests of Canada Post and the ruling class, while undermining the power and bargaining position of the working class. Furthermore, the government's mismanagement of funds, as evidenced by the excessive spending on non-essential items, and its attempts to silence workers through back-to-work legislation, demonstrate a clear prioritization of corporate interests over worker welfare. The government's cynical use of Christmas as a lever to sway public opinion against the union is a stark illustration of how the state exploits cultural narratives to maintain the dominant economic and social order. Christmas, a holiday that has been thoroughly commodified and transformed into a vehicle for corporate profit, is being wielded as a tool to guilt-trip the public into opposing the union's demands. Meanwhile, the government's push for Canada Post to adopt more corporate-friendly practices, amidst the growing trend of the Amazonification of postal services, underscores the state's role in facilitating the exploitation of workers for the benefit of corporate profits.